What is on the program today? First up, the session is on one of the 3 priority areas, WHAKAHOU, Restore. Then, after morning tea, the session is to complete the set of the 3 impact areas, and that would be Tiaki, protect. So that theme session, sponsored by the Department of Conservation, goes into the afternoon with some poignant messages that will move you and set you forth into the next chapter. Then we look at the impact of bioheritage, we get an international perspective, and to close off the conference, we get some insight from the former and current co-directors. Nō reira, koe rite tātou, are we ready? Ka pai, kia ora koutou. You are great people to be in a room with. Someone said, oh, isn't everyone lovely? Good energy. I go, yeah, you should see some conferences, but not you guys. You're fantastic, and this is how our day is going to roll. First of all, we go into WHAKAHOU, Restore. One of the 3 impact areas of bioheritage is, of course, WHAKAHOU, Restore, and that we want to see New Zealand's natural and production ecosystems are resilient and thriving. So this morning we have 5 talks on this impact area, followed by a panel discussion. So remember, put those questions in via the app, and that will take us to morning tea. Today we're going to learn about efforts in better managing, protecting and restoring land and water ecosystems, and to enable people to build resilience with the right policy and governance tools. And after the 5 talks, we have a panel discussion, as I say, that will be chaired by Professor Bruce Clarkson, who was a co-founder and director of Bioheritage. Right now, to start us off, I would like to welcome to speak to restoration and collective action, Kiely McFarlane from the Cawthron Institute. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koutou katoa, e mihi ana ki ngā mana whenua o tēnei wahi, ko taranaki whānui, kei te mihi, kei te mihi, kei te mihi. Ko Kiely McFarlane tōku ingoa, he Pākehā ahau, he kai pūtaiao pāpori ahau no Cawthron Institute. So morena everyone, it's my pleasure to kick off today's talks on ecosystem regeneration by focusing on how we can bring people and organisations together to restore our taiao. And the results I'm sharing today are not mine alone. They've been generated by this wonderful group of people behind me who've been working with our community partners. And Julie, Maria, and Ed are all here today, and you can catch them in the break to ask them more about their work. So over the last 3 years, we have been examining the role that collectives are playing in community-based restoration here in Aotearoa. And restoration collectives are organisations that connect multiple community entities, including individuals and agencies, to work together towards shared restoration outcomes. Common examples include the many biodiversity hubs, iwi hapu collectives, catchment collectives, and predator-free networks that occur across the country. And at this point, I'm just going to ask those of you who are in a collective to put your hands up. Ho mai te paki. Wonderful work. And so previous work on this topic, including an earlier survey with Kiri Joy Wallace, has told us a bit about how collectives have evolved and what it is that they do. And so we learned that collectives, while they're very, very diverse, tend to do more than the on-the-ground planting, monitoring and predator control work that we commonly associate with community action. Yet many of them are also still volunteer-based, and they're highly collaborative organisations. So they're also not playing that kind of governance role associated with decision-making authority. So we wanted to understand better, well, what role is it that collectives play in community-based restoration? And what does this mean for their potential to contribute to large-scale ecological regeneration? And we've done this in a few different ways. So over the past 2 years, Raven Cretney and I have convened a diverse network of 15 collectives across Aotearoa, which brought together leaders to share their knowledge and their experiences of large-scale community-based restoration. We used a series of wānanga and interviews to understand the challenges that collectives face in restoration, as well as the innovative approaches that they're using to tackle them. And I'd just like to say a really big mihi to all these organisations and the leaders who contributed their time and their whakaaro to this research. Ngā mihi nui. Additionally, our community-based researchers have been working closely with 3 exemplar collectives to understand their key objectives, their projects and their outcomes for their communities. I'm only going to be giving you a bit of a flavour of that work today, so I do encourage you to speak to the researchers in the break and also to check out the policy briefs at the back of the room. So our work identified 6 key roles that collectives play to support and amplify community-based regeneration. And they're illustrated here courtesy of the wonderful Ezra Whittaker. So collectives' roles include, first, building relationships between community entities and with agencies and funders. Second, championing the role the action for Te Taiao by raising awareness of the environmental issues and the mahi that's underway and identifying ways that people can get involved. Third, by supporting communities through access to tools, information, training and resources that they need to do their work. Fourth, facilitating knowledge sharing and really helping to build recognition of mātauranga Māori and local expertise. Fifth, bringing people together to co-develop shared visions and plans for holistic restoration. And finally, collectives play an important role in connecting the diverse initiatives that are occurring across the Taiao and enabling groups to understand how even very small actions can contribute to much larger initiatives, as Dion described so eloquently yesterday. And so I'm now going to provide a little bit of insight into 3 of those roles, using insights from our exemplar studies to illustrate how collectives can help to promote collective action for Te Taiao. Okay, so first of all, collectives often invest time and resources to co-develop shared visions and strategies for restoration with their communities and their partners. Shared visions help to connect diverse and often quite fragmented restoration projects and action across an area. It also enables them to work collaboratively with a really long-term focus, strengthening their advocacy and planning role. And so Miriam Goodwin and Ed Challies explored this role through their work with the Ōpauahu Heathcote River Network, which is comprised of river care groups, a volunteer committee and many individual volunteers. And Ed and Miriam found that one of the 3 key things that a network approach contributes is to raise the profile of the Ōpauahu Heathcote River, which is highly degraded in the eyes of both the community and the council. And so by working together and speaking collectively, they're able to draw attention to the many issues facing the river and how they're interconnected, and to articulate a shared vision for the river that all of these groups can work towards. And their key strengths included the time that they invest in advocacy and being a voice for the river in council decision-making and planning forums. They're also really big thinkers. They understand that they're not simply restoring the river, but they're also helping to restore the community. And through their skill sets, they're able to integrate ideas, people, and action across the catchment. They've been able to attract a whole of river resourcing for joint projects that target key issues for the catchment, and they share these resources among their groups. And finally, they work with students and with experts to conduct research and monitoring that helps to really inform the strategic nature of their work. The second role that we focused on was championing action, where collectives are really important at facilitating engagement with the wider community, with promoting restoration work, raising awareness of local issues, and celebrating the successes of local groups. And a really great example of this mahi is obviously predator-free Wellington. So Julie Whitburn and Daniel Shanahan have been working with this collective to understand their success at facilitating volunteer engagement. And Julie found that people's relational values, and so those are the values associated with human nature relationships, were associated with their participation and their long-term commitment to Taiao work. And volunteers' motivations to engage in predator control do vary. So alongside a desire to care for the environment, other motivations such as a desire for restoration specifically, but also to develop social connections, really help to explain volunteers' commitment to predator control. And people's commitment also depends on the extent to which their motivations for participating are being met by the activities undertaken. This research really helps to highlight also the importance of group involvement for individuals. So people who participated in trapping as part of a community environmental group devoted more time and had a greater commitment to predator control. And Julie's findings have implications for organisations like Predator Free Wellington that seek active participation of their community. So overall, she found that it's important to appeal to the different facets of people's relational values, especially to attract greater and more diverse participation. In particular, linking the social benefits to the ecological benefits of restoration projects could really help to increase appeal for people who are not primarily motivated by a concern for the environment. And once recruits begin their volunteer activities, you could also implement retention strategies that focus on things like planning volunteer events that help to match people's motivations, or highlighting the benefits that volunteers receive from their participation and emphasising the difference that they're making. Also, another key thing that collectives can do to help facilitate people's connection is to connect them with a community environmental group and encourage their participation that way, rather than just as an individual volunteer. And our third exemplar explored collectives' roles in supporting community initiatives to help to access the skills, expertise, tools and resources they need to undertake their restoration work. And so in this study, Maria Barnes, supported by Merita Kawharu, worked with Reconnecting Northland, who are trialling an innovative new support service called Te Kete Hononga. Maria focused on what support tangata whenua initiatives desire in undertaking their restoration work, and how regional collectives can help to meet their support needs. So based on her interviews with her community in Hokianga, Maria developed this framework behind me, shortly, that identifies the range of types of support that tangata whenua and community groups are seeking. I can't talk about them all here right now, but I do want to emphasise that for this community, their aspirations were not only about restoring the taiao itself, but also about providing local people with skills to undertake the work, and also employment in the taiao space so that they are able to remain in the region. And as such, support is not just things like administration and funding, but it's actually caring for the people by developing their skills and engagement, by promoting environmental education among the wider community, and by caring for the health and well-being of kaimahi, so that taiao jobs are not just jobs, but they're good jobs. And things that Reconnecting Northland are doing, and other collectives could do, is to support tangata whenua initiatives, by doing things like providing holistic training to kaimahi and volunteers, by offering mentoring and coaching services as leaders grow in their roles, by prioritising hauora in all aspects of taiao mahi, and that includes tikanga and mātauranga Māori being integrated throughout community events and initiatives. And these strategies can create the potential for much richer and more rewarding experiences of community restoration that support both people and communities to flourish. I'm going to finish with a short video where the collectives can speak to you themselves, but I just wanted to leave you with 3 quick key messages. The first is that collectives are diverse and that they play many roles in supporting community restoration. Second, it's not just a question of investing in community initiatives or collectives, but they both play a really important role, and they both need our support if we want our taiao to flourish. And third, while restoration work is often focused, obviously, on enhancing our taiao, it's also really, really importantly a social endeavour. And so we need to care for our people and invest in our people too.
When you're investing in a restoration program, you're investing not only to taiao and benefits for nature, but you're also investing in people and the connections they make.
In the last 10 years, we've seen a whole range of organisations forming around the country that bring together groups that are working on the ground, and they provide the support and the resources and the connections that enable those groups to work together to landscape scale approaches to restoration.
Wairarapa Pūkaha Te Kawakawa was formed to try and get the people working on the ground in the Wairarapa for nature, for biodiversity, to work together and to talk to each other and to share resources and to share knowledge and to learn from each other.
Ngā kaitiaki o ngā Waimāori have a voice for hapu in spaces that wouldn't usually be there. The restoration work, it's a living thing for us. It's a part of our taiao. It's been left for us as a legacy from our tupuna.
Ngā Ponorau o Rangatike is a collective of 5 iwi. We're sharing our mātauranga alongside of our aspirations to improve the well-being, enhance and protect the awa.
The Opawa Heathcote River Network was formed as a community voice to seek change for the river and to work with others around making that change happen.
To resource us for longer periods of time, because we're only getting momentum now. So if we were resourced financially in our roles we already have, then we'll be able to show some more viable outcomes.
We need the funding to have a central person who will help the groups get established, help the groups get going, meet some of their needs so that they're not floating on their own.
We have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the ability to communicate with all of those communities, all of those stakeholders, and if you want to take advantage of that, then invest in us.
We are really wanting to help our native taonga and our communities to thrive. That's the ultimate goal.
Rawe tō mahi. Tēnā rau atu koe. E te pūkōrero, rawe au mahi. Wonderful summary. Thank you so much for managing to do that. Also, as we were talking about these research briefs, so you can actually have a copy yourself just up the back here. This is a particularly beautiful diagram, you'd have to say.